Hello, folks. This is Tommy Handley calling from 2LO H2SO4, January, Christmas, and Birkenhead. Now, I'm going to give you a few hints on gardening, how to do it, when to do it, and when to stop doing it. As Professor Hatfull, the eminent philosophical horticulturalist, says, a garden is like a woman. First she must be understood, then humoured with a shovel. To begin with, then, you buy your tools. A spade or shovel to cut the earthworms into assorted lengths, a wheelbarrow to carry out their remains, a watering can in case the caterpillars turn thirsty during the night, and a thing with 3 prongs like an overgrown toasting fork. Of course, if you haven't got a garden, the only tool you need is a large portmanteau which you fill with your neighbour's potatoes whilst these at the pictures. Having procured your tools, the next thing is to provide yourself with a really comfortable gardening suit. Great attention should be given to this, and it is a good plan whilst being measured for the suit to assume a rectangular or bending position, so that your tailor can give you plenty of freedom where it is most required. You are now ready to commence work, and the first thing to do is to turn the garden over, that is, dig it up. At the end of that operation, you will find yourself in possession of 700 weights of hearth bricks, salmon tins, and dead cats, and a summons from the local inspector of nuisances. You will also have a pain in the small of the back, resembling forked lightning pursued by red-hot corkscrews. However, if you sleep in the trouser press for a few nights, you will soon be able to stand up straight again without screaming and be prepared for the next operation. This is called fertilizing the ground, and please pay particular attention to this recipe which I am going to give you. A useful top dressing for the purpose is composed of 5 parts salmoniac, 3 parts hypochondriac, 2 parts cul-de-sac, and 1 dipsomaniac. If the going should be heavy, instead of 2 parts cul-de-sac, substitute 1 tic-tac from the grandstand. I may say that by adding a pint of gin and bitters to the above ingredients, you will be able to offer your friends a powerful cocktail known as the Clack-Eaton Corpse Reviver. The dressing will be delivered to your garden in a plain van by a gentleman wearing a gas mask, and you must then spread the preparation evenly over the gasping earth using the toasting fork aforesaid. Without any instructions from me, you will immediately afterwards run hastily into the house and close all the windows. If you can still hear anything, bung up the keyholes with scented soap. When it is safe to go out again, say in a fortnight's time, you will be ready to purchase the seed. Seed can be obtained in penny packets or 3 for 2/8 each, and every packet bears an illustration of the flower designed by an optimist and coloured by Ananias. And here I would like to quote Professor Hatfull again. Seed in the packet, he says, is like a maiden in a new dress, outwardly a thing of beauty, but inside an unfathomable mystery, a delusion and a snare. He said that after he had planted chrysanthemums, which came up as bad man's oatmeal. Now don't go away, folks. Just turn me over and I'll tell you some more. Now to continue, said he in a low, cunning voice. It is essential to buy plenty of seed, about 5 pounds worth, as the first sowing simply provides a hearty meal for all the birds of the neighbourhood. At the second sowing, birds of adjacent countries are invited to the feast, and it is a touching sight to see the common swallow and hedge sparrow sharing their food with the great auk, the Australian mutton bird, the double Scotch eagle, and of course the fiery blue-nosed flamingo. This latter you will easily recognize, as it has cultivated the habit of sitting down on its beak to hide the evidence of its dissolute life. This, however, does not prevent the other birds calling him nosy. The blue-nosed flamingo is very difficult to capture, owing to its curious method of never flying in a straight line, but always zigzagging from side to side, muttering to itself as it goes. On bright sunny days, it flies upside down in order to keep its feet warm and free from rheumatism. It is a very suspicious bird, and at the first sign of anything unusual, utters its danger call, which is a loud hiccup, followed by ribald laughter. But that's by the way, as the man said when he threw his wife out of the charabanc. Let's return to the garden. The second sowing having been eaten, the third sowing of seed must be undertaken whilst the birds are drowsily replete from their unaccustomed orgy, in other words, sleeping it off. Well, the main work of the garden is now done, and you can put yourself in the hands of a skilled bone setter for the next few months whilst the seed germinates. At last the great day arrives, the reward of all your pain and labour. Tiny little shoots appear, young and tender and green. You recognize them with cries of joy. Shade, kidney vetch, hemlock, violas, cellos, triangles, curriculas, and in their midst a strange growth, the result of your having placed a pansy seed in the same hole as an onion. This hybrid is called a punion, and can be either worn as a nosegay or used to flavour the steak and kidney pudding with the flower part sticking out of the safety valve in the pastry. At the first sign of pot stuff appearing above the earth, our feathered friends once again visit the scene of their former carousal. Urged on by the intoxicated bellows of the blue-nosed flamingo, they devour every living thing in the garden except the punion, which is strong enough to protect itself even from the attacks of old Nosy. As Professor Hatfull says, birds are like women, bright-eyed, soft and downy, but woe to the man who is young and tender and green. It is he into whom they stick their bills. He made that remark just before his wife hit him on the head with a lawnmower and buried his body under the parsley bed. Well, your garden is now exactly as it was before you started work. It is ready for a second top dressing. This should be a tar macadam, laid on thick by a jobbing builder. You can then exchange your complete set of tools and gardening suit for an aspidistra in a pot and 2 balloons for the children. Well, ta-ta, folks. My next talk is entitled As Others See Us by a Turkish bath attendant.